I wanted to talk about religion. Okay. Now, currently, I'm reading a book called The Autobiography of a Yogi. Okay, I'm about 100 pages in, and it's looking at the life of a man called Paranamashi Yogananda. Yeah, I can't pronounce his name properly, of course. But what is important about this book is that it comes from a different religious lineage than myself. And intruders. So we're just gonna pretend like the intruders aren't here, but they are here. So I'm just gonna keep walking. I don't know why my heart just starts racing. She was kind of cute as well, but still, I don't know why my heart just started racing. And again, I embrace that, but it's I'm just trying to, I don't know, but let me get back on topic, okay? So, it explores the life of Yogananda, okay? And he comes from a different religious lineage to myself, okay? I come from a Christian background, and a very strong Christian background as that. My family is very, very spiritually orientated, and that shows how someone like me can come about in because of just that. There's a real strong sense of belonging to the Christian religion in my family, okay? But I also see the ceiling in that, okay? I also see the limitations within that, and that's what I feel like I've come into this life to kind of weed out for myself, if you understand what I'm saying. But much to the point, we look at Yogananda's life, and I'm seeing someone who's working within his own religion, to receive the highest levels that religion can provide, And when I talk about religion, I talk about more on the specific sense and talking about the impact of the spiritual figures within religion, For example, in my lineage, we look at the representation of Jesus, okay? We look at the representation of Jesus, and that is the representation of exactly what my lineage is supposed to be at the highest level, okay? You understand what I'm saying? We got more intruders. Me? Okay. What I noticed is that these right now, obviously this gets me on my confidence in a little bit, but when there are other people there, it does kind of make me uncomfortable. But what was I saying? In terms of actual lineage, okay, religious lineage, as I was saying, Jesus is the highest level of that, okay, in terms of within my religion. And we have other figures in other religions that represent that. You had the Buddha, and I'm pretty sure you have Krishna in the Hindi religion. You have Muhammad in the Muslim religion. You have the highest levels, essentially, figures that were, okay, another thing, okay, No, I'm not gonna go this way. I'm gonna go that way. Okay. But as I was saying, you have different figures of lineage that we're supposed to represent. Okay, but they're all working towards the same goal. Okay. So minus the distractions that I've been fucking put through with this video, yeah. The point that I'm trying to make is that religion is God's grace of guiding us, but understand that you can get trapped in the levels of that. And my family is a good representation of that. Because you have my dad, who is a lot more open-minded in the way that he approaches religion, much similar to me, yet he still embraces Christianity full-heartedly as his lineage, you know, because he accepts that's what he was brought up from, so he brings respect to that. You know what I'm saying? He completely understands that from that angle. While you have my sister, who's a bit more clinging on to that identity within the religion, within the other people in that religion as a group, rather than really focusing on this singular path again, which is what she needs right now in order to register God as existing, you know, because if you take that away from her, she will no longer be able to register God exists properly. Like, let's say for some reason she just, boom, this church that she's at goes, she will no longer be able to register God properly until God provides her another way for him to for her to understand it, understand the greater powers in this universe. And of course, I'm walking my own path, in which I'm kind of not identifying with any religion, yet I'm still being called to the Christianity lineage, yet I'm still being called to the Jesus lineage involuntarily. Yet I know I don't identify with that, because I know the moment I identify with that, and it makes it dogmatic, it makes it, you know, it limits what I can receive, you know. And that's why I'm able to read books like the Autobiography of the Yogi rather than reading the Bible at the moment, because I'm able to expand it in the sense, like, you know, I'm utilizing all of the different sources we have to God in order to better my own source of God, you know. And of course, not everyone is ready for that path at the moment, and that's okay, you know. That's perfectly fine. If you're not ready to be looking into other, you know, you're more comfortable where you are right now with your religion. And what I would say to you, if that's you, then you should definitely be looking to work within yourself as much as possible. Okay, I feel a lot more comfortable here because this is my spot, you know. So maybe, like, but then I'm just sorry for the interruptions. Like, honestly, it was just like my heart is, you know. But as I was saying, yeah, that's what I was saying. I understand that religion is a tool given to us from God in order to strengthen our relationship with him in whatever level that is. Even at the dogmatic and the most your hatred levels of other religions, you know, because you have these people, you know, you will see them, they will be the ones doing the street interviews. They're the ones that they come up to me in the street, you know, and I can see that they think they're doing God's work. They truly believe they're doing God's work, and they are almost doing God's work in a way, because they're trying to find the people that are on the similar wavelength to them, in the sense that they're just kind of looking for this firm answer, which will feed them temporarily, but you understand what I mean. But then at the same time, it's not something that I resonate with, but I don't hate them for it, because I understand it's just the levels, you know, it's just the levels. And again, it doesn't matter what level you're at, it's just about your experience and the fact that your experience can be better as long as you work towards making it better. If you understand what I'm saying, that's the only thing that matters, is your own experience and you improving that for yourself. This is what I mean. There is no underlying answer that I can give you. There's no underlying answer that anyone else can give you to really solve it when it comes to those bridge points, I would say, in consciousness, where you're at a point where you're about to leave behind an old thinking and your mind is open for a new thinking. There's nothing you can really hear or do in those periods of time which is going to give you the answer fully. You know what I mean? It's a walk. It's a lifelong walk that, you know, some people commit to and some people don't choose to commit to in this life, you know. And the people that choose not to commit to this life, they're going to have to commit it at some point. It's as simple as that. It's something that can't be avoided. And I can feel within me that I no longer want to avoid this. And I don't know what happened before. I'm talking about my life right now, the life that I'm living right now. As young as I am, I know it's time to get serious with this. Serious, sir. You know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, it's still fun because there's still things I want to do. I'm doing football. I'm loving football at the moment. Football's working really well for me at the moment. And just watching cartoons. Just with my brother, being with my brother. That's really important to me as well at the moment. Looking at my brother, guiding his growth. And again, this reminds me that I have to remember that he is on his own path. When I look at him, I'm looking from such a higher above. You saw that? I'm looking, I don't call it looking down on him, but I'm looking from a place in which I can't fully fathom what he's experiencing, but I can still feel that it's all going to be all right. Within my whole household, even though I get up, you know what upsets me the most? I would say is definitely the scrolling. I see a lot of scrolling in my house, and it upsets me. But I still know it's going to be okay. I still know it's going to be okay because there's so much awareness within this household that someone like me was able to come from it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm so grateful for that. So I know it's all going to be okay. If I can come into this life in the way that I've come into this life, it will all be okay. And you just have to trust grace in these situations, you know what I mean? Because again, it's about not wanting too much control, okay? And this is what some at the lower levels of religion, we see extensive control, you know? And we see that in some of the most grossest forms, okay? And we can look at the Taliban. Of course, I'm not saying I'm super educated on this shit. Like, I'm not a Taliban researcher, you get me? But come on, even I know the Taliban ain't good. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about in them grossest levels. And we also can talk historically as well. We can also talk about how the Christianity religion also enslaved my people in the name of God for like 200 years or something. You see what I'm saying? Like, these are things that happen, you know, in the levels. But the religion of Christianity, let's say, was also able to provide someone like Jesus at the highest level. You know what I mean? Like, these things have to be recognized and understood and accepted. You know that there are these levels of religion, not that one religion is right or the other. There's levels of religion because religion is just a reflection of our own understanding of the divine, you know? Same with everything. Everything is just a reflection of our own understanding. I was saying this yesterday. I was talking about how movies are just a reflection of real life. They're just a reflection of lived experiences that someone decided to put into a script and get a couple of actors to represent. That's what a movie is. That's what a TV show is. Even a cartoon is just an even more separate reflection of life. And that's why I like cartoons, because it's like we're tapping into a different realm here. You know what I mean? I'm gonna spin around now, but you get what I'm saying. It's like we're stepping into a new world, you know, but still seeing my world at the same time, hearing my language. You know, this is what this stuff was meant to represent. Everything was meant to represent exactly what your own understanding is supposed to look like. It's something creative, something flexible, something that can't really be fully conceived and understood in the moment, but yet within walking in the present, you're supposed to take the steps to begin to understand yourself in an even more powerful and greater way. You know, and I think that's what I want to leave you with. It's just a simple understanding that you walk this path to improve yourself, you know, and you come down to your own understanding. You have your own lived experiences that God has already put forth for you to allow you to fully embrace that and live through that. You know what I'm saying? So you're able to better aid yourself to become a better version of yourself. You know, and it doesn't matter what religion you do that through. It doesn't even matter if you do it in the lack of religion. As long as you recognize the presence of something greater than yourself, all will be okay. You know, and this is what we talk about with deconstructing the ego and stuff like that. It starts with recognizing that there is something greater than this self. You know, but I'll leave you with that. Peace.